What's up, guys? It's good to be back in the office after a damn near 40-hour voyage down the East Coast and back. To say I'm exhausted would be an understatement, but I caught Smackdown, don't worry, and we're gonna talk all about it in this very review. Like Jeff Hardy taking a urine test in the middle of the ring. Jeff Hardy gave zero fucks. It's a typical Friday night for Jeff Hardy, right? Side of the highway, cops are rolling up, he's smiling, he's got his how you doing joystick out. Just zipping away. Da 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 da. Hey guys, I'll be right with you in 2 minutes. Jeff Hardy's middle of the ring, he's just got his joystick out, man, and he's just like, hey, anybody got a newspaper? That actually happened last night. We'll talk about it. Bayley's taking Sasha Banks to prom, or whatever the fuck that celebration was last night. Looked like Bayley was gonna drop down on one knee and propose to Sasha Banks. I mean, we were a step away, right? Bayley was about to read poetry to Sasha Banks. Oh, you can't make that up. Oh, and then there was the 5-star classic match that everybody's talking about, right? Wrestling fans today. The same ones that are shitting on Bruce Pritchard, right? Fuck you, Bruce! And then this morning they're like, thanks, Bruce, for a really good match. Thanks for giving them time, Bruce. Well, which is it? Is it fuck you, Bruce, or is it, hey, Bruce, thank you? You know, which is it? Nobody knows. Wrestling fans, man, you gotta love them. They're talking about a 5-star classic between AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan. A really good match, by the way. You probably would not know that because they performed this match in the middle of Smackdown, not even the main event. And during what was supposed to be 35 minutes, we believe it was a 35-minute match, but you wouldn't have known it because they took over 10 minutes over the course of 5 commercials. And they cut that right out. 5 commercial breaks, well over 10 minutes. But we think it was a really good match, from what we saw anyway. Again, that's why you keep something like that for a pay-per-view, so it's not interrupted 5 separate times. But you can't have that because you have Edge and Randy Orton in the title that they're having, obviously, man. You can't have that overshadowed. So, okay, no harm, no foul. You put that at the end of SmackDown then. You call that a main event. No, they couldn't even have that as the main event because they had to have a 6-man schmaz match be the main event. Of course, a nonsensical 6-man schmaz supersedes the Intercontinental Championship. It supersedes AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan. Okay. But anyway, that was a really good match. Of course, the wrestling community, they get anything that's good and they overexpose it to the 10th degree. So what was a really good match, now you're hearing it's a classic. It's 5 stars. We're rating this like it's a fucking restaurant meal now. Wrestling fans love to label shit. Was it truly a 5-star classic? I don't know. We're gonna talk about it, man, and nobody better than yours truly to actually break it down for you, because I'm the only dude in this community that's gonna honestly tell you the way it is, right down the middle. I don't have a dog in the fight. I literally am gonna dissect this the way that any rational human being would that knows what they're talking about when it comes to pro wrestling. So I assure you, I will do that in this review. All of that will be discussed. Before I talk about anything, I'm giving you guys a heads up. I am going to have to talk about Ryback for a minute. Now, you guys know I get an instant headache whenever I have to talk about Ryback because he's usually talking about something stupid. This is no different. Now Ryback wants to discuss the Nia Jax situation with Kairi Sane, and he's not blaming Nia Jax, no. You'll be surprised, or you shouldn't be surprised, about who Ryback is blaming. Nia or Kairi? Take a guess. That's how we're gonna start the show off. Oh, we're gonna need to be amplified for this. And to get amplified, you better down your fucking fraps right now. We're gonna go to the warning sequence, and we're gonna come right back. And we're gonna probably have a lot of these guys. Ow! Yow! That's what I'm talking about, baby. I'm telling you guys, mocha. I love my vanilla lattes, but when it comes to the frappuccinos, man, these mochas are outrageous in a good way. And they will get you amplified. Before I get to the Smackdown review, guys, I have to talk about Ryback. Unapologetically, this needs to be discussed. You guys know what frustrates me to no end is people that misinform others, either out of just sheer ignorance or just lying. In this case, Ryback, like always, checks off both boxes. But when you enable somebody, that never leads to a good conclusion, right? And what I mean by enabling is if somebody does something that is clearly wrong, time after time especially, you have to hold them accountable, not as a punishment, but so they know. Like, dude, you have to tone it down. You have to change this. You have to rearrange that. You have to take that off the table. Adjust this. It's going to help that person in the long run. Oh, Ryback. So this dude was asked about the Nia Jax, Kairi Sane situation. And instead of holding Nia Jax accountable, Ryback is blaming Kairi Sane. This is a true story, and I quote, "You can do that to me all day long and I'm not getting hurt." So Ryback right off the bat, makes it about himself. You can do that to me all day long and I'm not getting hurt. Well, you're not 5'0" like Kairi, Ryback. You're juiced up on who knows what, Ryback. Just because you're a bigger dude than Kairi doesn't make you better than her. He says, you can throw me 10 times harder than that. And it's about how to protect yourself. That's a real thing. How to protect yourself. So he's saying, Kairi Sane doesn't know how to protect herself. All of a sudden, this immaculate female talent from Japan who had accolades tenfold comes over to NXT, has some damn good matches, drops a flying elbow better than anybody I've seen since Macho Man Randy Savage. And of course, my Velveteen Dream, of course, as well. But even better than Bayley, dropping that flying elbow. This immaculate wrestler comes across Nia Jax and keeps getting injured. And you say it's all about how you protect yourself, saying Kairi didn't do that. But if you truly knew what you were talking about, Ryback, because you're one of those individuals that claims that because you were in WWE, you know better than most. Well, I got a lot of friends that travel the world on the independent scene, and they've been doing it for years. They know exactly what they're talking about, and they called that from the moment they saw it directly. Snap of a finger, they said, whoa, she wasn't set. The way she grabbed Kairi's hair and threw her downwards. Of course Kairi didn't have a chance to catch her footing. How is that Kairi's fault? Do you know the pattern of Nia Jax? Do you watch the product, Ryback? If you said no, I wouldn't blame you, but don't try to sound like you know what you're talking about. This is not the first, second, third, 10th time Nia Jax has injured somebody. One time is an accident. Twice is a coincidence. 3 times is a trend. 4 times we have a very serious problem and issue on our hands. Nia, we're talking 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times plus. Charlotte Flair, she almost ended her career and then some in that match where Nia was extra reckless. But this is beyond a trend. And by trying to blame other actual professional wrestlers who have accolades elsewhere, and you're going to honestly blame them, you're just enabling the root of the problem, the common denominator. Because while all these females are getting injured, there's one female in the ring with them always. That's not a coincidence. Nia is the common denominator in all this. And in real life, Nia's probably the life of the party. She's probably got an infectious personality. She's probably an awesome woman. That's great. In professional wrestling and in that ring, we don't want to see any superstar getting hurt or even worse. And when you see this time after 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 time, literally, I'm not even exaggerating, at what point do we have to hold the person accountable? That's why the community is in an uproar. Do you realize that, Ryback? It's not just because we want to be. Nia Jax has a presence, a look, the vibe. She has all these things that she could be something dominant. She's just not there. It's clear she needs to be retrained. Take her off the road and get her on track. What is so wrong with that? If you have 10 females getting injured, some of them multiple times by Nia, what's so wrong with taking her off the road and starting from square one? Seeing where the holes are. Where are we going off track? It is clear the effort is not always there with Nia. It's just clear. Ryback, if you did your research, you would know this. The effort is not there. The recklessness, unfortunately, is there too often. I go back to the Becky Lynch when Becky Lynch got her concussion and nose, if not, then damn near broken. But her face was busted up and she was concussed. That should never happen with a professional wrestling punch. And you look at Nia turn around and she saw Becky. It's not like she was just wailing away unconsciously like she thought Becky was a step back. No, she saw Becky and she hauled off. That's recklessness. You look what she did with Charlotte Flair when she went for that shoulder breaker and instead she had Charlotte's head square on her knee. That could have paralyzed somebody, dude. You look at how she chucked down Bayley and Kyrie recently. You look at that buckle bomb with Kyrie. You take an extra step and you make sure Kyrie is safe when she goes into that turnbuckle. Nia Jax didn't even bother taking the extra step, just chucks Kyrie. There's a reason that looked ugly. There was a reason Kyrie got injured in that spot. You know why? Because it was clear as day Nia was reckless. Some things in life are just clear as day. You don't even have to dissect it too much because you're going to end up overanalyzing it. Ember Moon, she got injured to the point where her husband had to actually go on social media and call out Nia Jax. Well, guess what? Her husband wrestles Ryback. Are you aware of that? You claim you have to be in the business to know, where I just told you I got plenty of buddies that travel the world on the independent circuit, and they said right off the bat, that was Nia's recklessness. Ember Moon's husband, he's a wrestler. He went on social media to call out Nia Jax. Zelina Vega, remember when she got injured? What was that, a concussion? But Nia Jax chucked Zelina Vega over the top rope and she did it like at a diagonal. So of course Zelina's head was going into the fucking concrete. Or the mat. Might as well be the concrete, how small Zelina is. But if you're a bigger woman or a bigger dude, whatever your size is, male or female, if you can't work with smaller talent, you shouldn't be a pro wrestler. You know, Yokozuna didn't injure Bret Hart. Giant Gonzalez didn't injure Brooklyn Brawler. Undertaker didn't injure Shawn Michaels. You know, if you can't work with people the size of Kairi Sane, then you should not be working. And that's what we're saying. We're glad to have you back. If Nia gets retrained and comes back, we want her to be the beast. Let's push her even. But we can't continue at this rate, Ryback. That's why fans and your own former peers in that company even. Because Ryback, you went on to say, well, before I get that, I just want Ryback to understand why we're voicing our, not just frustration, but concerns, Ryback. It's because we don't want this to get any worse. If this was even just a few times, Ryback, 3 or 4 times, that's a crazy coincidence. Again, that's a trend. But even if it was just 3 or 4 times, maybe I can work with you. Maybe. I mean, I doubt it, but maybe. But when we're talking 10 fucking times, dude, there's an issue. And Ryback literally says, who has come out and said this? What's the source that said it was Nia's fault? He says, anybody in the back, these shit producers and people. So he's talking about WWE. He must have been told, obviously, that people in the company were saying that it was Nia's fault. So Ryback says, the shit producers and people, they stir up shit all day long. I don't have time for it, Ryback says. I don't care what you have time for, Ryback. This isn't about you, bro. This is about the lives of these females on the line when they go in there for a career. Because this is what they do. When they go and have a match and they might not make it fucking home, or at least not in one piece. Ryback, nobody cares if you have the time for it. Because these ladies don't have the time to be injured for 9 months or a year or permanently. So Ryback says, I don't have the time for it. If Nia was truly as dangerous as what people want to believe, she would not be working every week on TV. Ryback, do you know who Nia Jax is? Do you know who her family is? You're talking about someone who walked out of the company because she didn't want to do a job for Sasha Banks. If that was anybody else, they would have been fired. Nia Jax was back in a few weeks. Her spot was waiting for her. Yeah. It pays to be The Rock's cousin, Ryback. So if she was truly as dangerous as people want to believe, she would not be working every week on TV. And then Ryback brings it right back to himself like he always does. He says, if I was remotely dangerous, would I be working all of those main events? No, I would have been pulled out of them. Well, Ryback, I don't see you in any main events right now. You know why? You're not in the company. Do you know why? You weren't good either. Those are facts, bro. They're hard to take in, I understand. But you claim that you wouldn't have been in all these main events. Bro, they tried to give you a push. It didn't work. The crowd turned on you. And during his whole statement, guys, he also went in some weird paragraph about how it could be story, how sometimes somebody will get injured and WWE will make it into a story without you knowing about it. So then people look at you like you're a vicious person who's reckless in the ring. Ryback, that may have happened to you. That's cute and cuddly. What happened to Nia Jax and Kyrie, that was taped. The own wrestlers and trainees who watched it are the ones that leaked it out because they were concerned. So people in the company, Ryback, before WWE.com even put it up, or it was on the USA Network for Raw, it was leaked out because people were concerned. That's not a storyline, Ryback. Kyrie was hurt, and the people that were there said it looked like Nia was reckless. And from what we all saw on our TV sets, it looked pretty much the case. How you blame Kyrie for not protecting herself the right way is absolutely asinine. And I'm not surprised one bit that you're no longer in WWE. I'm not. He says accountability, and again, you can take this is his words, you could take Mark Henry and let him throw me as hard as he fucking wants into steps. I'll find a way to take it safely. This schmuck literally said, you can have Mark Henry throw me as hard as he fucking wants into steps, and I'll find a way to take it safely. Bro, Mark Henry will put you through the steps, and you won't be selling shit because you'll be knocked out. Even if it's on your feet like Goldberg was in Saudi Arabia when he took on The Undertaker. He was out on his feet. Dude, you're not going to sell nothing if Mark Henry throws you hard into anything. So don't try to sound like you're better than Kyrie Sane. You're not. She couldn't catch her feet because she was grabbed by her hair and chucked down without her being set. That is carelessness. It's pro wrestling 101. That's what frustrates me, but even more so than anger, it concerns me that you have that way of thinking. I just am thankful that you're not in a professional wrestling ring anymore, harming anybody. Because you're that type of person that'll injure 9 people and every single time claim it was not your fault. And now you want to sound like a badass. I can run in the steel steps 10 million times harder than that, and I'll be fine. Okay, buddy, you're just enabling. How many people have to get injured for you, Ryback, to understand that some people just, they need more training? It's not a bad thing. Nobody's insulting or throwing shade to Nia. We're trying to help. Some people need help at their jobs. If you go to your local Starbucks and your barista constantly makes you a bad coffee, but you love Starbucks, you just know that this barista makes shitty coffee. Well, is it the barista's fault, or are you gonna blame the Starbucks coffee? It's the barista. It's obvious. If every other barista is giving you an immaculate coffee, but this one son of a bitch keeps making you a bad coffee, you don't blame the Starbucks beans, you blame the barista. If everybody is getting injured at the hands of one person, you don't blame the other people. I had to start off with that, guys, because I read that literally minutes before I was about to go live for this review. I've been driving hours upon hours over the last 2 days. I am tired. I was going to talk about, I have a couple of pages of notes for Smackdown, and then I come across that minutes before, and there was no way I could let that slide. Kairi Sane is really good at what she does. She doesn't need schmucks like you trying to say that she didn't protect herself the right way. And that big bad old Ryback could take that move 10 times harder, 100 times in a match, and he'll be okay. Don't condone recklessness. You're just enabling at that point. Should we do this Smackdown thing, guys? Please hold. All right, so we start the show exactly. This is Smackdown for June 12th, 2020. We start the show exactly by what we heard days ago. I broke it to you here on this very channel a few videos ago because this was leaked. Sheamus and Jeff Hardy, middle of the ring for a contract signing. Sheamus is demanding that Jeff Hardy take a piss test to prove he's clean. So this reminds me, man, back in the day when I was on probation. I was a bad kid. You guys know that. And you would be put on probation. It's a plus because you don't got to go to prison, but it sucks because you have a lot of freedom taken away. Like things like you can't leave the state, for instance. You have to be home at certain times. And one of the things that I had that absolutely sucked was every single night I had to call a phone number. It was a system called Colors. My bracket was orange. I would call this number every night, and if orange came up, I would have to show up to the courthouse the next day and take a piss test. And this is to make sure, this is to catch you off guard. I had to call every night between like 7 and 9, so it was real late at night, or later in the night. And they did this so just in case you're on anything, you don't have a lot of time to flush it out of your system. And then you had to be in the next day between 3 and 5. So it was less than 24 hours. So they knew what they were doing. So every night I would call this number. And if it came up a different color, I was good. I didn't have to show up. But if orange came up, I would have to show up the next day to the courthouse and take a piss test. And truth be told, I have nothing to hide, guys. I was a bad teenager. I was a rebel, man, without a cause. And I would have a liter of vodka in my left hand, and I would be calling with my right hand. Literally. And I'd be half the bottle down of vodka. And I'd just be hoping that orange wasn't called. And if it was another color, blue, green, whatever, man, there was such a relief. I would down the rest of the fucking bottle immediately. I was just happy. And then there was times where I'd had half the bottle down and orange would come up. And what you have to do then is start flushing your system, because I wasn't just drinking, in all honesty. I may have been smoking some extracurricular activity as well. So you have to flush all that out. So then you would spend the whole night just drinking nothing but water. You'd wake up early in the morning, you flush, you do as best as you could. And, come to find out, that would have negative effects. a couple of negative effects. Number one, if you down too much water, I found this out the hard way, you could actually pass out. You could pass away from drinking too much water. I didn't know that until I downed 3 liters of water. I started seeing shit. The room started spinning and I literally passed out. Woke up about 3 minutes later or some shit. And, people had me set up on a couch and I was like, I didn't know what I took. And they were like, no, you just drank 3 liters of water, one after the other, because I was trying to flush my system. The other adverse effect that your probation officer can tell you are on something is if you drink too much water, your piss comes out what's called unnatural because it's so clear they know you've been doing nothing but drink water. So then your probation officer also knows. So I was basically just fucked. You know what I mean? Like if I was halfway down the liter of vodka and my color got called, either way I was fucked. But anyway, how'd I get into that stuff? Oh yeah, Jeff Hardy. This just brought me back to that, Like you have Sheamus's personal doctor and they're demanding a piss test out of him, and everybody's waiting for him and watching him take this test. And it just reminded me when I'd have to go to the courthouse and my probation officer would be standing right behind me. He wouldn't even give me like the room, like, dude, trust me, I'm going to come out with my own piss. I didn't take my friend's piss and come in with it. You ain't got to fucking watch me do shit. But anyway, I couldn't help but think back to my own experiences, man. That color system. I had to do that for 2.5 years too. Or 2 years. I think they finally let me, either way, I had to do that for a couple fucking years. But anyway, Sheamus is in the middle of the ring. They have this makeshift, 4-wall setup so he can go into it, take the fucking piss test. Hardy's taking the test in the ring. This is embarrassing. This is humiliating. Sheamus is calling Hardy a junkie. He tells everyone at home that if you're a user, you're a loser. He says, just say no. And this is all while Hardy's taking the test. So as he's already embarrassed and humiliated, Sheamus is humiliating him even more. Hardy, when he's finished, and he has he has his own liter of piss. I mean, I don't know what he was drinking during the day, but this shit is like that, man. He gives it over to the doc. It looks literally like 6 cows pissed in this thing. It was a lot. The doctor's studying it. Jeff Hardy grabs the mic and says, sometimes it's better to be pissed off than pissed on. And Hardy grabs the huge cup of urine and throws it into Sheamus's face. And then he signs the contract. His music plays. Sheamus is like, the look on Sheamus's face. Listen, we know it's not actually urine, right? But, I mean, Sheamus played it off beautifully, dude. He was awesome in this. A lot of people have a problem with it. It is controversial because they're playing on Jeff Hardy's real issues. I totally understand what you're saying. However, this is pro wrestling. These are grown adults. They signed on the dotted line. I'm thrilled we have a storyline, I mean, starting with the hit and run a few weeks ago and leading into this. This is actually a storyline, at least. It's got people talking. And Jeff Hardy's a grown adult. He wants to use it. I feel for Jeff Hardy. I feel like, this is what it's come to. He has a storied career. And to have to air out his dirty laundry to the younger fans that may not know the real life situations that Jeff Hardy has found himself in. The younger fans that look at Jeff Hardy like a true role model. That's sad, that he has to air out his laundry like that. So I totally hear you on that. But this isn't the first time we've seen things like this. And let's be honest, too many people know how many times Jeff Hardy has fucked up. Same thing with Nia Jax. 1 time is an accident, 2 times is coincidence, 3 times is a trend. With Jeff Hardy, it's more than 3 times. At that point, we have a problem. We have an issue. So, who's to say? I don't know what's right or wrong here. Jeff Hardy has fucked up so many times that this as a storyline is the least of his issues. I think the real problem was when Vince brought him back so quickly. He's got such an issue. let him stay out for a year, year and a half, 2 years. Not because of injury, but because you want him to mentally get in a good state of mind. Let him get fully healthy. That doesn't just mean physically. Just because he's okay physically to go, Vince brought him right back again. But we've seen this vicious cycle where Jeff Hardy just keeps going back to pills and booze because right after injury, he's back on the road again and taking the nasty bumps that he's been taking for over 2 decades. Why not let him stay home and get mentally healthy? And then, a year and a half, 2 years from now, bring him back. Sure, he might not be doing swanton bombs from the top of a ladder or a roof or the top of fucking Denny's or IHOP or the Cracker Barrel, but you're still going to get Jeff Hardy. The name will still have value and you'll have him fully healthy. Not just physically, but mentally. That's where the problem is. I think they brought Jeff Hardy back way too soon. We don't know if he's fully okay. Of course, he's going to say it now, he's just back. But in 4, 5, 6 months, we know the vicious cycle. We're hoping it's broken this time. But as somebody who has lived this life when I was younger, I'm telling you right now, it's not an easy cycle to break. And if people keep enabling you, and if people go about life like nothing is wrong, like Vince and WWE is doing, nothing usually truly breaks. The cycle keeps going round and round. I know that's deep for a lot of you guys, but, you know, this is a deep topic. This is why it's controversial. They're bringing Jeff Hardy's real life shit into the storyline. You know, that makes it intriguing. It definitely does. I mean, I don't think anybody would give a shit about Sheamus and Jeff Hardy for Backlash. But with this storyline, at least now it's in our dome piece. When we think Backlash, we now are thinking Jeff Hardy and Sheamus. So, and it's got people talking. So we won't know if this was all done for a reason or not. We won't know until after Backlash. Like, what's the culminating decision here? What is the culminating end game? Where does this stop? Is this just a Jeff Hardy victory at Backlash? Do we keep it going? Does Sheamus become the ultimate victor? And how is it done? All of these things need to be answered before I can look back and say this was all worth it. So anyway, that's my thoughts on it, guys. You know, it's controversial for a reason, and I don't have the right or wrong answer. Those are just my thoughts on it. I enjoyed it for what it was. It is sad, though, that we have to have Jeff Hardy shown in that light. I'm just thinking about the younger Jeff Hardy fans. That sucks. For them and him. First match of the night was a nine title match. This was New Day versus Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro. Before the match, New Day actually took a knee in support of obviously what happened to George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement. So they took a knee, and of course, this drew a lot of talk within the community. If you guys know Kofi Kingston and Big E, and you know how they are backstage and on their podcasts and the things that they do online, you know that they are very outspoken about this. Emotional. Big E was in tears, as was Xavier Woods. Kofi was much more just like, you know, he tried to stay even keel. But they have been very much into this, so I have no issue at all with that, man. If you guys want my true, honest thoughts, I think that's awesome, you know? The national anthem thing, that's another story that has people, like, split. I'm not even going to touch on that because this wasn't a national anthem situation. They just took a knee in support, and I don't see how anybody would have a problem with that. The match itself, before I even go over it, Michael Cole said something that irritates the shit out of me before this thing even started. Michael Cole said, if Shinsuke and Cesaro can knock off the champions in this match, they can perhaps get a shot at the championships. That's the fucking problem. We know this, Michael Cole, because that's how WWE always comes up with their number one contenders nowadays. They don't build them up in a separate feud or feuds or matches. No, to get a title shot these days, all you do is you beat the champions. And then a week or two later, you face them again at the pay-per-view, this time for the titles. But where's the intrigue in that? Why would anybody care if we already saw the champions get beat by the challengers? And then we're all supposed to say, I can't wait for this match Sunday? Why? Who's gonna care? Not only did we not see the match, but we already saw the champions get beat. So now the only thing left is to see the titles actually change hands. Wow, captivating shit. We see this all the time now. Challengers beat the champions, and that's how they earn their championship. Shinsuke and Cesaro can lose 4 matches in a row, and all they have to do is beat the champions one week, and then they get a title shot. It's not just the division being fractured, which the tag division is. The whole roster is really fucking fractured. But it's more than that. These are the reasons why the championships are looked at as jokes. Even the champions are looked at as jokes. The challengers are looked at as jokes. Back in the day, you had challengers rising up the ranks. So if you had a pay-per-view coming over the weeks, the challengers would be beating other teams and looking really dominant. So then you started to think, wow, when they take on the champions at the pay-per-view, that's going to be an awesome title match. Nowadays, we've already seen the title match days before. In fact, the challengers already beat them. What more do you need to see other than the referee just changing the titles over to the other hands? That's it. It's bullshit. I'm done with it. I've been done with it for years. They keep doing it. I would not doubt that at Backlash, probably even in the pre-show, you're going to see the New Day taking on Shinsuke and Cesaro. I wouldn't doubt it. Because Michael Cole already laid down that fucking little nugget of information. And it's something that we've been seeing time after time. I would not doubt you're going to see New Day versus Cesaro and Shinsuke. I assure you. Of course, in just over 5 minutes, Nakamura pins Kofi Kingston, and that's why I say what I just said. Because you knew when Michael Cole said if they can win this match, they might get a shot at the championships. You knew Shinsuke and Cesaro were winning, and they did. In just 5 minutes, they won this match when Nakamura pinned Kofi Kingston. I love seeing my champions lose nonsensical matches. It really builds up their prestige. Michael Cole is already talking about a title match too, and you wonder why no one cares. Because that's how we get to the title match. I'll sound like a broken record, so I'm just going to stop, but I can't even fucking fathom. This is what I mean about lack of care. We are days away from the pay-per-view. This is a go-home show. I haven't even mentioned that yet. This is a go-home show, and the tag team title holders don't even have a match. So how do we get there? We have the people that they're supposedly going to face. Beat them. Hour number 1 ends and hour number 2 begins with the finals of the Intercontinental title tournament. AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan. This match went over 35 minutes, and they did what BC Amplified has been asking, pleading, begging for the longest of times. They took 2 guys like Styles and D-Bry and just let them wrestle. What a crazy fucking concept. No bells, no whistles, no 10-minute bullshit match with a schmaz fuck finish. No, they just let 2 good wrestlers wrestle. Just a crazy concept. I've been asking them to do this for how long? They did it. If you're gonna shit on Bruce for everything else, hey, Bruce Pritchard gets the credit for saying, hey, we need to have them have a real legit wrestling match. One winner, one loser. No fuck finish. It's not a foreign concept. It's Wrestling 101. And the finish was phenomenal. Pun intended. D-Bry goes for the running knee. Styles catches him into a Styles clash. Just an awesome fucking sequence. And then we went into a phenomenal forearm. After 35 minutes, AJ Styles becomes the new IC title holder. Really good match. Classic? Absolutely not. Stop this, man. Maybe if there was not 5 commercial breaks and we saw the actual 10 plus minutes that we didn't see, maybe I could call it a classic. There's no way you can take over 10 minutes out of that match and call it a classic. 5 stars. Everything's a star with wrestling fans, right? Immediately after this match, people want to talk about stars. Fuck your stars. This isn't a fucking filet mignon fucking meal at the local steakhouse. We're not rating a restaurant or a meal. That was 7 flying elbows. 10 amplified drop kicks. Fuck your Meltzer stars. This was a really good match that should have been in the main event spot. It was plucked into the middle of the program over 5 commercials. Because they can't have it overshadow Edge and Randy Orton at Backlash. That's the greatest wrestling match ever. But the fact that wrestling fans feel like they need to label everything that's really good and turn it into epic, and I really can't even blame them because we don't get really good shit in wrestling anymore. So now when we get something that was really good, not just good, Styles and Bryan was really good, but they turn that into a 5-star classic. I had to go back and watch some. As tired as I was, I had to go back and watch some of this match to make sure I wasn't missing anything. No, it's a really good match. I would love to know what sequences brought you to the edge of your seat. Which sequences made you drop your jaw in awe and say, this is a classic? What? But that's wrestling fans, right? They'll turn something little into something really big, right? I tell you, man, the same people that were shitting on good old Bruce Pritchard, now they're saying, thanks, Bruce. That was good, man. Oh, we're supposed to hate Bruce? Okay, fuck you, Bruce. I tell you, let's not place blame where it should be, right? Vince McMahon. No, let's blame Bruce Pritchard. That's how pro wrestling fans think these days. They honestly think because Bruce Pritchard is the head creative writer that he actually has the final say. His name is Vince McMahon. If you want to blame somebody, you blame Vince. I just wish wrestling fans were smarter, man. I know my amplified unit is, thankfully. But fuck, man. Know who to blame. Tag Team Championship Victory Celebration was next. Sasha Banks and Bayley surrounded by 1,074 balloons. Sasha and Bay, middle of the ring, talking about their friendship, how close they are. They were even about to exchange poetry to one another. It's a true story. I mean, it got to the point where it was all lovey-dovey, and I was thinking like they're at prom, like Sasha is Bayley's prom date. Bayley's about to get on one knee and propose to Sasha. I mean, that's how it was starting to feel. They were exchanging pleasantries to one another. Bayley took out a piece of paper. It was poetry. She wrote Sasha a poem. This is one of the best wrestlers in the world, Sasha Banks. And we can't book her properly. You just want to put your dome piece through a cement wall, man. Every fucking week I have to put up with this shit. I yearn. I say this all the time. I yearn for the day where we can hear Sasha's music play in full, right? Not for 5 seconds when Sasha's at the top of the ramp and then Bayley's music plays them down. I yearn for the day where we can hear Sasha's music play in full, where we can watch Sasha by herself come down to the ring, where we can watch Sasha perform one-on-one matches, and the day where we can watch Sasha win a singles title at a big event. I yearn for those days, but I've been yearning for those days for years. So I don't know what they were doing in there. They're exchanging poetry, and it's just a true story. I have never been more happy to see Alexa Bliss in my life. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross hit the ring. Iconics then appear on the Tron. I've never been more happier to see the Iconics too. Anything to stop the poetry. Bring out Alexa. Bring out the fucking Iconics. Bring them out. Or actually, they were on the Tron, but put them up there. Anything that'll stop the poetry, stop the misery, I am all for. The Iconics appear up on the Tron and they talk that smack before Alexa and Nikki drop Sasha and Bayley where they stood. Sasha and Bayley then get thrown out of the ring by Alexa and Nikki like yesterday's garbage. Alexa and Nikki celebrate in the middle of the ring and the Iconics laugh at Sasha and Bayley from the Tron. Those are your tag team title holders. Can you guys tell that the titles are going to be relevant from here on out? Sasha and Bayley are now the title holders. Are they supposed to look more relevant? They were chucked around like yesterday's garbage. Anyway, I just need Sasha, and you guys know how much I love Sasha Banks, man, so it pains me to say, but I cannot wait till Sasha and Bayley are split up. They're better as heels than they were as the Boss and Hug connection. I'll at least give you that. And when they first got together, I was thinking, hey, this is cool. Not every week, but this is cool once in a while. Nope, good old Vince. They're attached at the hip. They're two peas in a pod. Every single week they're together. And Sasha's too good to be somebody's sidekick. Oh, man. Main event, 6-man tag schmaz match, Braun Strowman Heavy Machinery versus Miz, Morrison, Dolph. I can't stand 6-man tags because they are the most pointless matches. They never solve anything, and I usually have to work extra hard to give a single fuck. This one was no exception. Halfway through this, Corbin is shown on the Tron backstage talking to Mandy Rose, aka Otis's precious little C-gem. Otis leaves the ring and runs to the back faster than if it was half off at the buffet at Cracker Barrel. True story. That's how fast Otis ran to the back. I mean, the dude just darted. Otis returns a few minutes later to the ring, eventually drops the Caterpillar elbow on Dolph, and collects the W. That's all she wrote for the 6-man tag. Braun Strowman, Heavy Machinery, they win the match. You would have never known Tucker was in this match. I mean, he was like an afterthought. With Braun dominating and Otis's backstage segment with Baron Corbin, I don't know where Tucker goes from here. But it looks like Vince is not high on Heavy Machinery, but he is high on Otis. That's great for Otis, not so great for Tucker. Mandy was out there for the celebration as well as we ended SmackDown. It was Braun Strowman and Heavy Machinery with Mandy Rose all celebrating to the hard camera. And full disclosure, guys, the final 2 minutes of the show was a blur because Mandy's ass was legit hanging out of those booty jean shorts. I mean, fuck yeah. Her ass was just hanging out of those booty shorts, man. Come on. Any dude is going to tell you that was immaculate. And you're not paying attention to anything when Mandy is on your screen with her ass being bodacious as it was. Thank you, Mandy. Thank you, Mandy. Hey, dude, after you're on a 40-hour road trip, you're damn right that was a welcoming sight to see. That's what I got to come home to. Mandy's fucking ass dropping out of those fucking shorts. Yowie, wowie. Anyway, I'm the Amplified Man. Hopefully you guys had some fun in this review. Hopefully I made you think a little bit, whether you agreed or disagreed with some shit. As long as I'm, providing thought-provoking conversation, as long as I'm enlightening and at least making you guys think a little outside the box, that's what I pride myself on this channel. I'm glad I can do that for you guys. I should probably be taking about a 15-hour power nap. But I think I have some shit to do. I have to go right back out and I'll get another actual coffee from Bucks and take care of my shit today. And hopefully you guys do the same this weekend. I hope to be with you guys tomorrow morning for the Backlash preview. Even if it's only 15, 20 minutes, I kind of want to come to you guys early tomorrow morning with a little preview show. I don't know if there's much to preview, but you're going to get my full amplified honesty on it. I'll tell you that much, and that's always fun. So for now, grab your coffees and kick the rest of this weekend's ass. And I hope to be with you guys tomorrow morning. Think, be, live, amplified. And Ryback, relax, think about shit, and be honest with yourself before you put out your opinions. Please, that's all we ask. Much love. Check you later.